Well, it was 10 long days the wait until HBL PSL 10 in action swung back, and what a wonderful game it was. Match number 27 certainly didn't disappoint. Karachi Kings sent into bat first and some serious scoreboard pressure was placed. 237 for 4. Led up the front by the captain David Warner and the ever-consistent James Vince. Finished off in style like Khushtil Shah and Mohammad Nabi. Not too much the bowlers could do, but Peshawar Zalmi, they took it to Karachi for a little while there. Babar Azam, beautiful 94 off 49 there. Saima Ayub in the runs too, but in the end they fell 23 runs short. The Kings winning that one emphatically and ensuring a qualification berth for the playoffs. So what that means now is we get a beautiful cue beside not only Karachi Kings' name, but Islamabad United as well. Still games in hand though. It remains to be seen if it will be Lahore Qalandars or Peshawar Zalmi who will be joining them in the top 4, and whether or not it will be the Kings or Islamabad United that nab that second and all-important top 2 position. Hello and welcome back to the Pitchside Studio. What a game of cricket we've just seen here at Rawalpindi Stadium. Congratulations to the Karachi Kings. They solidified themselves a qualification berth, and who better to chat through it all with than Haider Raza, the team director of Karachi Kings, and of course Amir Sahel. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And Haider, you look a little bit more relaxed than I saw you at the beginning of that match. Coming off a 10-day break, how were the nerves and wondering how the team was going to gel coming into this important fixture?
Well, obviously the first concern was whether this break is going to disrupt our momentum, because after that win-loss sequence, I mean, we had 2 back-to-back wins, so we were hoping to continue with that. But again, relieved at the result, and more than anything else, satisfied at achieving our first objective, which was to at least qualify for the playoffs, because as you know, Karachi hadn't qualified in the previous 3 seasons. So this was the first box that we wanted to check.
What a rebuild for Karachi Kings, Amir. What they've managed to do in the last couple of seasons.
Exactly. You know, it's a sea change, isn't it? I mean, Karachi was struggling in last couple of seasons, and this time around they're a different side. And that's what I want to ask Haider. What made the difference?
Amir bhai, when I came in, when Salman bhai brought me in, the first conversation we had was that every team, especially in these league competitions, you rely a lot on your local core. So the first objective we set for ourselves was, okay, we're going to take a couple of seasons to revamp the local core. Obviously that doesn't mean that you don't try to win a competition, obviously, but you just sort of like require some patience to, you know, be given that leeway to go there, scout the right players, find the right opportunities in the draft, and then recruit those players in. This time around, we just couldn't believe our luck when some of these really, really talented Pakistani players who were all under the age of 30 were being released by some of the other teams. So I think for us,
springs to mind, and Khushtil Shah, I mean, big names.
And plus these players were people who I had with me during the Multan Sultans days as well. So I knew these players. I was very comfortable, knew what to expect from them. And I think they were also pretty glad joining a setup where they knew what was required of them. And we've just let them, you know, be themselves, play to their strength. I mean, Khushtil Shah has been utilized, I believe, more as an all-rounder over here. Hassan Ali's resurgence has been phenomenal for us, but that's all down to him because the way he's worked hard has been phenomenal.
I want to ask you both as well how important you think the David Warner factor is. He's obviously an incredibly experienced captain. I saw firsthand in the Big Bash League just the season just past what he did with the Sydney Thunder, dragged them from bottom of the table to being the runners-up in the tournament. I'd love to ask you both, Amir, as well, what you think he's brought to the
Aaron,
side.
you've been involved with the sports for the longest. The thing is, it's not about talent. It's not about lucky. It's about consistent. It's about showing up. And these players, they show up. And they're committed, they invest themselves in a franchise and whatever they're doing, and that's why they become consistent and show up for their sides.
What do you think about what David's brought?
David has been inspirational as a leader. I mean, the first thing, again, I know there were a lot of question marks when he was coming into the competition, but we never had any doubt over his leadership qualities. That's why we had turn number 2 in the draft, and if David Warner is available to you, you pick him straight up. The thing that has been very inspirational for all of us has been his leadership, both on and off the field. The way he's gelled with the local boys. I mean, I'm so glad that these players like Irfan Niazi, Arafat Minhas, Saad Beg, all these young guys, Riazullah, they're learning so much from him in how he carries himself on the pitch, the thought process behind different decisions that he makes on the field, and also off the field, how he handles them, tells them, okay, now for the next couple of days, no one is going to talk about cricket. And he gels with them. We're playing paddle together. We're playing these random football games. And it's just a really, really nice environment. And I'd give all that credit to Bull for the way he's carried everyone in.
And Aaron, to be honest, when you talk about David Warner and players like him, greatness is not limited to small things. Greatness is also to influence the youngsters. And he has done so.
And I think there were so many times within Karachi Kings, even most recent season, where you got down to the final over or those crunch moments and you weren't able to do the 1%ers in order to win those matches. And now you're winning these matches more consistently and you find yourself potentially in a top 2 position after a pretty torrid time the last few seasons. Is it something about what he manages to instill during the matches as well? Like, calm things down. No, guys, this is all under control. Don't panic. We've got this. Do you think that's been a big part of the influence?
Of course, that has been. Plus, I think it also helps when you have some senior leaders like James Vince there as well. I mean, I think Vincey is still underrated as a T20 legend. I think he's a T20 legend. He's been part of some of these really, really successful teams all over the world. With him around, even in our own dressing room, you have leaders like Hassan Ali, Shan Masood. So I think the hurdle of that last over hurdle that we had to overcome, I think we did that in a couple of games in the last season. But obviously there were a couple of last over games that didn't go our way. This time around, I think it also helps when you bring in certain boys who are eager to prove themselves because they've been on the wrong end of certain criticism being thrown at them for, say, some other formats or for the national side. But over here, it's a different ball game altogether. It's a different environment. And we as management, the thing that, say, Salman Iqbal or Tariq Wasi and I've tried to do is provide these guys with the best possible resources and best possible environment and then just let them be, give them simple plans, not to overcomplicate things. And so far it has worked. Ravi Bobara has been really inspirational as a head coach. And it's going to be really, really funny. Amir Bhai is just going to finish his stint as head coach and then go play the Blast.
Isn't that crazy? You love a coach that's still so ingrained in the game and playing as well. He's got this understanding of the players. But you mentioned James Vince. He joins royalty now in terms of being, I think, only the 3rd English player to hit 12,000 T20 runs. But he's running out of player of the match options as his presence because something went viral on social media. He kept getting a hairdryer and all of a sudden he won 3 or 4 different player of the matches in a row. What's he getting now? Surely he can't have 3 hairdryers.
Well, so basically,
I'll take one. I've got the main that needs it.
We're now just sort of like spreading it all around. We're letting our sponsors display their whole array of products, whichever ones Vincey wants, and I think I'll probably buy one hairdryer for him myself because he deserves it. But yeah, I mean, Vincey has been absolutely incredible. He's been with Karachi for quite some time now. I think you should, in fact, buy a home in Karachi because he's been a regular for Karachi Kings over the last 4 seasons now. So yeah, I mean, so far, again, no complaints. Now, the focus is obviously to ensure the top 2. And then, obviously, it could be anyone's game in the playoffs.
Talk about the resurgence of some of these Pakistani bowlers as well. Hassan Ali up near the leading wicket takers. Abbas Afridi was the leading wicket taker heading into this game. Amir, what impresses you about how the bowling utility is working as well? Because we always expected that you bat really well. You've got such a strong top order, but the bowls have been fantastic.
In my opinion, what really made difference for these bowlers, they haven't been predictable for the batters. They have relied on subtle changes, not extravagant change. Subtle changes, change of pace, change of line, change of length, and they've been surprising the batters. And they've been picking up wickets at the right time. Abbas Afridi has done it so many times for their side, and it's incredible.
Couple of things to work on though. The only thing that I can really think of is perhaps a few missed chances in the field. Will there be some naughty boy fielding out, or what's the plan heading into the important match against Islamabad later on?
It's funny because before the break we were the best fielding side in the competition. So we'll definitely, I think, have a silent word with a few of them. No, but to be honest with you, can't complain. I mean, obviously these guys were coming back after a break, plus it's a game of cricket, it happens. But talking on the bowling, Amir Bhai, as you just pointed out, I think it also helps when you just go back to the basics sometimes, because I think the conditions that we had early on in the competition, we were really happy with just test match, line and length, and that was working out for us. And these boys, they've just been amazing. They've responded well. They've responded well to the plans been given to them. They've responded well. They've taken ownership of every delivery that they've bowled. So far, I mean, you know, when you're winning, you feel everything is going right.
Header, just before we let you go, take us into the team room of Karachi Kings. What happens now when you celebrate this win?
Well, I first of all go there and give away all these sponsor
all the
giveaways. All the giveaways. But apart from that, I think right now there will be a couple of speeches. There'll be some of the leaders will step up, summarize the games, definitely identify certain areas which we need to talk about, and then it's going to be party time.
Party time. We'll let you go and enjoy that then, Header. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your insight. Wonderful there from Header Azhar. Of course, he was the team director of Karachi Kings, and he's a very happy man tonight after that emphatic 23-run win. Off to a very short breather here, but stick with us. Plenty more on the other side. Pleasure to have your company back at the Pitchside studio, unpacking our first match back after a 10-day hiatus, of course, which means a 10-day hiatus of having Dominic Cork in the Pitchside studio alongside us. Corky, bye. Welcome back. Karachi Kings, massive 23-run win. What did you make of what we just saw in the last 40?
A dominant performance by a team who are in good form at the moment. Back-to-back wins for the Karachi Kings, led really well by the captain, but I just thought all round they were quality today. I think they even said if they'd have won the toss, they'd have batted first. Qualified, and now a chance to get in that top two to give them two chances of getting to the final.
Was that a mistake as well? If you're Babar Azam and you get a do-over, considering what we've seen this season, you know, you win the toss, scoreboard pressure, no due to speak of tonight?
I'm going to say no. I'm not sure about Amir. I'm going to say no because I just think on the day Karachi were better. And I think when the Zalmi look at and dissect all that performance, you can't take away from Warner and Vince. They were excellent. They could have chased whatever they would have got anyway. I think the last few overs let them down. What was it, 51 in the last two? And they got no one else to bat with Babar. So in some ways, no. Stats will tell you, yes, he made a wrong decision. What do you think, Amir?
Well, runs on the board bring a lot of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was too much pressure in the end, and a lot of that was due to the fact that David Warner strode to the crease and produced what was actually a player of the match performance in the end. Let's have a little look at that now.
Well, we all know David Warner is an aggressor. And this innings for me was highest quality and innings of responsibility. And he was not shy to play second fiddle to James Vince. And that was unlike David Warner. And that tells me that he's so involved with this side that he wants them to win desperately.
Yeah, beautiful work by the Aussie there. 86 of just 50 balls. Yeah, what a partnership that was between David Warner and James Vince up the top of the order, and it was finished off beautifully towards the back end. But in terms of the Karachi Kings, they only actually managed to lose 4 wickets as well. So it begs the question, I wonder how hard they could have gone had they managed to push a little bit further. But in the end, some massive scoreboard pressure. Let's relive how those wickets did fall.
Dermot, very Chorter innings. Chorter first ball, swing back, Gonski. Good delivery from Luke Wood. And then obviously the big partnership. And it was Vince who just got an outside edge. Wood came back. And then this stage, when they started to take these wickets, I think it was 3 wickets in 8 balls, and then Warner left and he was out. They should have done better, but all in all, it was just an excellent performance, even though they only lost the 4 wickets.
Now, it begs the question as well, considering what a wonderful start they got off to. The perfect start, Luke Wood bowling Ben McDermott, literally first ball of the session. Amir, Where did the bowlers go awry in terms of restricting Karachi Kings after that brilliant first spell?
I think the captains need to learn how to use bowlers here. You know, when you give bowlers certain kind of a field praise, you know, you don't leave options to a bowler, and that's why we have seen bowlers getting hammered. I think captains need to use them properly, and that was an opportunity created by Zalmi's bowlers when they picked up 4 wickets in Bandru. From there, they could have controlled the game, but poor field placing and the bowlers not responding. Everything went
I think a little bit like that music we're hearing there. It just didn't get it right. I think that's exactly what you have to just accept is perhaps going with spin early on. Maybe that wasn't the right option. But also the bowlers. I agree with you. The captain's probably getting the right combinations. But the bowlers have got to take a little bit of responsibility and understand what they need to do on a flat wicket. Look, it's easy sitting here when you've been retired 10 years and saying you should be bowling this. But generally, have a plan. Set your field, try and execute. If they're 2 good players, if it's it's Warner's day or Vince's day, then you just hold your hands up. For me, they just didn't stick to plans and they didn't execute.
Didn't hold on to their chances in the field as well. The drops went down on both sides. Some poor fielding, things that should have been stopped going through to the through the keeper for 4 and vice versa. So, is that what happens when you have a 10-day break? Sometimes that lapse in concentration. Everyone's got off a flight this morning.
Maybe sometimes, but I think that they're professionals, and even with 10 days off, that can actually refresh you a little bit and give you a little bit of a reboot. But all in all, I just think it's the pressure they're under. When batters they come at you, and then as a bowler you're under pressure, but in the field you're under pressure. They dropped the catch, which didn't help, but ultimately they'll have another chance tomorrow, the Zalmi. Well, that's what they will have. And
let's deep dive that a little bit further, because as you say, Peshawar Zalmi did manage to claw it back a little bit after they broke that Vince Warner partnership, and it probably came down to this turning point.
Yeah, and it was the partnership that should have been broken early on. The president dropped Mohamed Nabi, and look, 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10, Hussein Talit should take that. But it was a decisive drop. It was a full toss that probably should have gone out of the park. It didn't. Not sure what happened there, whether he lost it. That was a defining moment, and a moment where the game just ran away from them and ended up losing the game.
And the problem was, Amir, is after that drop, Kushtil Shah and Mohamed Nabi went on to absolutely punish the bowlers. What was it, 50 off the last 10 or 11 balls or something like that?
I mean, that was expected of them. Both of them, they have a reputation of hitting sixes, and they're clean striker of the ball. And they came good at the right time for Karachi. Yes, they lost few quick wickets, but they were the one who rescued Karachi and got them to a total where the chasing side was under pressure all the times.
I know catches win matches, but they can lose you matches as well, Corky. And that probably was a pretty costly one at the end of the day.
It was, and I think it just gives the opposition that momentum going into, but also a target which is it's going to take some doing. You've got Babar Azam who played well in the end. It took his time to actually get into a bit of form. But I think ultimately they just literally lost it in those last 3 overs and then early wickets, and the game was really then done.
They were absolutely punished by Kushtil Shah and Mohamed Nabi at the end. They hit so many super sixes. Let's relive some of the crackers now.
Some massive sixes, and that's what you get. If you're going to bowl length at the end, you're going to get punished. Both Mohamed Nabi, who has had all the experience throughout his career, if you bowl in his arc, he's just going to smash you back over his head. And this was really the partnership that took the game away from the Zalmi. And look at the discipline, or the ill discipline from the bowlers. Full tosses, length deliveries. It's what batters love.
No sweeter feeling than a super six, and they hit 6 between them. Amir, what was your favourite?
I think that Nabi's down the ground for 6.
He's a beautiful striker of the ball, isn't he? And age knows no bounds when it comes to him. He's contributing with the bat, contributing with the ball. When you first looked at the overseas potential options, perhaps he might not have been originally in the first choice, but he's been so consistently brilliant pretty much every single game.
See, he can get into any side because of his ability. He can contribute with the ball. He can score important runs for your side to make a huge difference. And I think that's why he's well sought after player, Mohammad Nabi.
The president, considering the fact that they had Kane Williamson warming the bench for the first 5 weeks of the season too, Dominic Cork, pretty impressive, the president once again.
Yeah, and it just shows that you need that little bit of experience, and that's what he brings. You know, he's now, so I think even David Warner's talked about him, and I think as a captain, when you can rely on somebody like that, the seniority, the experience, throw the ball to him and say, do a job in the power play, never easy as a spinner to do that. His subtle changes of pace, the way he's able to go around the wicket, and then he comes in at the end. Look, he doesn't always come off with the bat, but when he does, he'll just show you what it is. And ultimately, that's what's been good for Karachi since the break. They've been able to keep the collective of overseas players. They've had them all back. Seifert, I think, is due to come back as well. So ultimately, you look at them going into the playoff week, they look strong.
Certainly brings a sense of calm and comfortability, does the president, Mohammad Nabi. Off to a short breather here in the pitchside studio, but do stick with us. Plenty more on the other side. Well, pleasure to have your company back in the pitchside studio, unpacking a big Karachi Kings win of 23 runs that sees them qualify. And it must have been something I said, because I've got a brand new panel alongside me in the studio. My pre-show friends, Alistair Cook and Waqar Younis, boys. Lovely to have you back. Cookie, I'm going to come to you first, because it's your first experience of HBL PSL, calling a game. Did we entertain you? What did you think?
Well, 450 runs.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's a great start, a great wicket. I know at the beginning of this tournament, some of the wickets haven't been great for batting, but I thought it was a really fair balance, because there was something in it for the bowler. There was quite a few.
Come on.
There's a bit of play misses.
Oh, maybe
Like
one odd one here.
We only
and
want
there.
one or two. We want fours and sixes.
450 runs.
It was a great game to
Yeah,
watch, and
definitely.
and we're going back to the beginning of the show. I predicted it was going to win right, so it's 1-0 to me.
Oh,
Waqar.
there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah,
The
well done. Good
competitiveness
start.
comes out. I love it. I love it. Waqar, yes, not a day for the bowlers once again, but how did you see where that one was won and lost tonight?
Look, I think it's all about how you finish, isn't it? And I thought, Karachi Kings, that finish of the last 2 overs, I think really cost them game, because at one stage they were 167 when Warner got out. And I thought, okay, they're in the game. They got something back. If they can bowl them out, or they just, bowl their overs maybe 210, 215. I mean, that's chaseable. But once it crossed that, and that also it was very demoralizing. Going into the dressing room with that last 2 overs, and it was never easy after that.
You kept talking at the beginning of the game as well, Cookie. You'd done your research about this particular ground and you knew the stats suggested that batting first and scoreboard pressure was the way to go. That is how things ended up being in this particular match tonight. There's no dew to speak of as well. The wind got up. Do you think the mistake was made at the toss?
Well, I think he should have batted first, but actually I think on a purely tactical thing, they were less certain about their top order, so they weren't quite sure what's a good score, so they thought throw it to the opposition. And actually they got off to the great start. Wicket the first ball, McDermott had gone, but they ran into a partnership of Warner and Vince, which they weren't good enough. And actually at the end, Waqar talked about the last, and we've spoken a lot about the last 2 overs. And actually for them going forward, they've got 4 games now they have to win, or 3 games to win the tournament. Yeah. That last 4 overs in particular, when it's going around the park, you've got a couple of young bowlers there as well, you just need to be a bit clearer. So even if you're predictable, I think they try to be a little bit unpredictable. So they try to cover two sides of the field with the field, and it didn't work. Sometimes when you're going around the park, you say, right, set the field for the one ball, and if you absolutely nail the skill, it gives the bowler a bit of clarity, and the young bowler as well. Yeah. I felt from there, because I think actually they kind of lost it, and also the slowness of the over rate, having to bring that fielder up to have 5 in the circle really cost them, and that extra 20-30 runs really hurt them. And as you're right, 220 was chaseable in that. Yeah,
51 in the last 11 deliveries. I mean, not only that, that's what I spoke earlier, that is demoralizing. The batters after that, when they go in the dressing room, they're looking at each other, how are we going to chase this? And they're like exhausted. I'm worried about them for tomorrow, because they got a big game tomorrow against Lahore Qalandars. So if they win that game, they'll qualify. it's going to be not that easy against Lahore Qalandar because they're going to come fresh.
So, for all of our budding bowlers at home as well, when you find yourself getting pumped around the park, and it happens to absolutely everybody,
Yeah.
particularly in this format, how do you dig yourself out of those, little ruts that you get yourself into during a game when, a few loose balls go, all of a sudden you're under the pump? How do you try and turn that tide and that momentum within your own personal performance?
I think Cookie's just hit the nail on the head, saying, just put your fielders on one side of the pitch. If he hits you for 6 or 4, good luck, good shot. But if you're bowling both sides of the pitch, captain can't help you. I mean, nobody can help you then. And then you're all over the place. And I think the planning from the management or from maybe the skipper, I don't know, the bowlers couldn't really, execute the plans.
It felt like a sense of panic. And also when I've been there as a captain where, suddenly you cannot stop the rot.
Yeah.
You just almost let the bowler go. He gets the mark and just before you know it, he's bowled. Before you sat down, obviously you can't sit down, but you go and have a word with him and go, right, what are we doing for just this one
just
ball?
give me a moment. I just want to sit down and think.
You almost need it, but then they'd have to have 6 men in the circles. They'd be even slower. But I think that is if you can just really think right, because I spoke to Jimmy Anderson about it. He goes, I feel like the world just goes quickly, and I get back to my mark, and I've got to give yourself that second, top of the mark, and I just think they tried to be covered, almost double bluff. Just think, well, it's going around the park, so just keep it simple. One ball, I'm going to bowl this ball, all men on leg side.
True.
I'm going to try and bowl it. It's right foot or left foot, depending on his right hand. And if he hits me for 6 off there and I get it wrong, fair enough. But they had mid off up, and fine leg, and third man up, so you couldn't bowl wide off stump at all. And they did, and it gave the batsman too many options, I felt.
Yeah.
How did you used to settle yourself in times of panic, Waka? Your deep breath when you got to the top of your mark?
He never missed a Yorker, so
obviously not.
Yeah, Yorker is the ideal delivery if you can nail it every time. But yeah, I've been in a situation where what Koki's talking about, that you don't know. You just sort of with all this big crowd around you, you just your brain stopped working.
It goes dead, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Dead,
It does. And then you just go, and even if you're trying to do something, it doesn't work because it's happening. It happened to me in 1996 World Cup in Bangalore in the quarterfinal, because I was trying and I was probably over trying, and it happens in cricket.
What's worse, getting absolutely belted in an over, or getting a first baller and you've got no time to think about it, or you've got to sink into a little hole in the middle of the field?
Well, I think if you get north, you just go and sit down and you wait for the public eye. Actually, as a bowler, there's no hiding place. You've got 5 more balls to go, isn't it? You've got to keep going.
There's no hole. You just got to keep coming and keep...
Unless you get a dodgy hammy.
Or unless you get hit in the knee.
Oh, that looks so painful, didn't it? Poor Mir Hamza. But what was great to see was a lot of chat about Babar Azam. He's back in the runs now. A beautiful performance by him today with Simo Ayub at the top of the order. He hit 10 boundaries in his beautiful 94. Let's relive some of them now.
Well, Baba, he is absolute class batsman, not been in the best form. Actually, beginning of this innings, I think he was trying to overhit the ball. And when he played one off drive, which I'm not sure we're going to see. And once he hit that shot, he was away. And these are the shots we know. He's very strong leg side. That was his wrist. He's very strong with his wrists. And at one stage, he was getting going. He was getting going. With Colin Cadmore, he got a partnership with 60 on. He did all the hard work. Sixes, they didn't know where to bowl.
It certainly is good to see the King back in the run. Someone you played against as well for a number of years there. You guys had a little bit of a chat before as well as he made his way to the press conference. How was he? In good spirits?
Yeah, I think he's relieved to find some form. I've only had 2 minutes with him, but he's going to be crucial tomorrow. And also as a leader, as a captain, when you have a performance like that, and the young bowlers are taking a bit of a hammering, it's a quick turnaround, which can be a good thing to get straight back out there. But he'll need to be really clear tomorrow. And if it happens again, they'll be up and running after 10 days break. You got to look at the positive side of it. They'll be say, right, we're match ready. And obviously Lahore, although they'll be fresher, actually that 10 days break, that match hardness, they could be better for the run out, and they'll know the conditions tomorrow.
And also they're playing the second game tomorrow. They'll get a little bit of rest, but also they will figure out how the surface is going to be playing, because both matches are going to be on the same pitch, and I hope he will not make that mistake again at the toss.
It's a straight shootout now for that final playoff position as well, which makes it a really interesting contest tomorrow. Very interesting what you say as well about perhaps being better for the hit out as well, just maybe having to shelve those mental demons from tonight.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow. What I'm really excited about, and we don't get enough of it, I don't think, in cricket, is knockout cricket.
Yeah.
There's lots of leagues, there's lots of, and it's brilliant. Test matches are 3-4 match series, one days, bilaterals, franchise leagues. Now we get to the crunch of it and we see players performing when there's no second chance. And there's nothing better as a player than being put under that pressure if you deliver.
You got Bubba versus Shaheen tomorrow night, Waka. It's going to be big.
It's going to be a big opportunity. I mean, both teams are on the cliffhanger. They're on the edge. You know, anybody can go down. So, but I feel they both have to stay calm. I mean, both, especially Shaheen can be very aggressive at times, and T20 does give you time to sort of sit back and think. I know not much, but it does give you your time. On the other hand, Babar, of course, his own performance will make him feel good. Of course, he's got to lift his side and talk to the management, how they're going to, what mistakes they made and make sure they don't do that again.
Cool, calm, under pressure is going to be very important tomorrow night. Of course, Lahore Qalandars will have to come up against Peshawar Zalmi for that final playoffs position. But another man in this particular game who was very cool, calm and collected underneath the high ball anyway was James Vince in the field. He was our safe hands.
Straight from the plane, and first he batted beautifully. I mean, he looked like that. He never left Pakistan and came back and ball was following him. Wherever he was going, the ball was there and he caught everything. Beautiful hands. I mean, you put him at any spot, you give him a slip bottom, you give him gully, you give him anywhere, and he is just outstanding. You can clearly see from the way he catches.
Well, these are high catches. This one spun a bit, but I suppose we've got to also put it in context. There's a lot of drop catches as well. So he's taken 3 from 3, but I thought he was outstanding.
Player of the match, once again, not for him this particular time around. David Warner just managed to snare it, but he was oh so close. And I reckon, gentlemen, if you add in the few catches as well, come on. I mean, catches win matches. He got 3 of them. Was he stitched up for player of the match?
It was close. I think you could have given them to 3 or 4 of the Karachi Kings, but you got to give it to the captain, haven't you, sometimes?
He was absolutely brilliant. The Karachi Kings were as a whole today. We are off to a very short break here, though, here at the Pitchside Studio. For one last time, do stick with us, though. We're going to preview the important matches in tomorrow's doubleheader. Well, HBL PSL 10 rock and roll back into action in emphatic style tonight. What a wonderful match we've just seen here at the Rawalpindi Stadium. Some 450 runs were scored in an absolutely explosive array of T20 cricket. It was certainly wonderful to be back with you after a 10-day hiatus. So I think it's fair to say that just tonight, cricket being back was the refreshing moment.
Yeah, it was a great day for Pakistan. I mean, nobody expected this to happen because of the conditions and all of that. And thanks to everyone who has been involved in this, and thanks to all the forces and all these kids. They just come out and all these fireworks. It was beautiful, full house. So what else do you want? It was beautiful.
Yeah, the fireworks were loud, and actually when Baba was going at the end, when he looked like he might pull up a very unlikely victory chase, the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. It was buzzing. Great to have cricket back here.
It certainly was. Absolute scenes here. The skies are light with beautiful fireworks. What a night. Yeah, credit to PCB and everyone involved that managed to get this up and running. We all came back from any part of the world we were in to come and be a part of this. It certainly is looking like it's going to be a really hotly contested season this year. And it's all because we go right down to the wire in terms of who makes the playoffs in this edition of the tournament. Taking a little look at the table as it stands at the moment. Well, Karachi Kings will be hoping to hang on to second position there. We also know that last year's winners, Islamabad United, have qualified, but we still do not know who will be in the 4th playoff position. Will it be Lahore Qalandars or Peshawar Zalmi? And who will finish top 2? There's still so much to play for. double header action as well. A little bit later on today, I can officially say, as we hit 12:50 a.m. in the morning. Our first game is the Multan Sultans, last year's runner-ups. Well, they won't feature today, but what can they do to unsettle Quetta Gladiators, currently sitting pretty in that top 2 position? That coming to you live on 2:50 p.m. local time and about 2:30 for our pitchside studio. But then the all-important matchup. Who will get that 4th and final playoff position? Will it be Peshawar Zalmi or will it be Lahore Qalandars, fresh off an 11-day break? That is match number 29. And gentlemen, I have the feeling it's going to be an excellent match.
I'm not sure about the first one, but the second one, it is going to be an epic game because both are looking for a spot in the top 4, and Lahore Qalandars, I mean, all the eliminators and the finals, everything is going to be shifted to Lahore. So Lahore will be wanting, to be there, a home team, and for the crowd's sake also, they're all going to just put their everything in it. And Zalmis, they come from behind. They lost early games. They lost 3 early games, and I think that's why they're sitting in this situation where they have to win tomorrow to qualify. So it's everything to play for, basically.
Makes for an exciting day for us. But Cookie, for you get to look at the Quetta Gladiators tomorrow, which is really exciting for you. You haven't seen them so far this edition of the tournament. A little bit of things to sort of work on after the break as well. A couple of players not coming back, but they've got some wonderful reinforcements. And the last time they played here, we had 2 Centurions in the first innings.
Yeah, just obviously a little bit of change of their team. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to line up and whether they change any of their, the structure which has been working so well. And you don't want to break when you're winning. When you're winning and you're top of the league, you want to keep going.
Yeah.
So the break will only hinder them, but they'll use tomorrow's game, I think, as a glorified net.
And momentum is so important.
Exactly.
Hey?
And they want their players to experience a bit of time in the middle. But the big game's tomorrow evening, and it's going to be a cracker. And if it's anything like it was today with the runs, the sixes, this crowd will be royally entertained.
Absolutely. The HBL PSL action is just hotting up here. Season 10 is looking like it's going to be an absolute thriller. Bahut shukriya for your time joining us at home, wherever you're watching all over Pakistan. Waka, Cookie, thank you so much for your time. Brilliant work in the comm box as always. We'll see you later on today, though. I can officially say thank you so much for your time here at the Pitchside Studio. Over and out.